It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming for Wednesday, October 16th. I'm Wendy Corr, bringing you headlines from the Cowboy State Daily newsroom, brought to you by the Cowboy State Daily Morning Show with Jake. From 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., Monday through Friday, Cowboy State Daily's Jake Nichols brings to life the latest news, weather, sports, and in-depth conversations that matter to you. The volunteer search orchestrated by a missing hiker's father in Yellowstone National Park hit a devastating obstacle Monday night when Yellowstone National Park authorities declined to authorize a private helicopter flight to drop experienced climbers on the southwest side of Eagle Peak. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland reports that the flight was meant to be one last effort to find 22-year-old Austin King, who vanished September 17th after summiting the park's highest mountain.
There's still searchers out there, but it's dwindling because the big thing they wanted to do was on the southwest side of the mountain, and there was some really nasty terrain that was largely unsearched. But they think that Austin King dropped down into there just based on some phone pings, based upon how disoriented he seemed there when he was last heard from. The park would not authorize the private helicopter to drop the rope crew down in there. What Cam Shawley said was, if that helicopter blew up and killed 5 people, everyone would be asking why Yellowstone did not vet the helicopter and the pilot thoroughly.
Snow is forecast for the early morning hours of Thursday in Yellowstone. If the storm brings more than a dusting, it could block search efforts until next summer. When a horse dies in the Wyoming Back Country, sometimes the best way to keep it from attracting grizzly bears is using explosives to blow the carcass into tiny pieces. And Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines reports that blowing carcasses to bits is a common enough practice that the Forest Service even created a guidebook for doing it properly. Titled Obliterating Animal Carcasses with Explosives, Hines says the book is not for the squeamish, but he adds that the reason behind the practice is actually human safety.
Not to be too gross, but scattered chunks of carcass across a wide area isn't likely to draw in a grizzly that's going to come and sit on that spot and claim the carcass. Because if you look back over the history of bad bear encounters and bear attacks, that's how a lot of them are prompted.
Hines reports that it's so hot and dry right now, the Forest Service can't explode the carcasses of 2 horses that slipped and tumbled to their deaths Friday on a remote trail near Cody, out of fear that the blasts could ignite a wildfire. Well, as people across Wyoming and the nation have their focus on the elk fire burning in western Sheridan County, the state's largest active wildfire continues to grow. But while the elk fire is the largest right now, it might not be for long. Cowboy State Daily's Greg Johnson reports that the Pack Trail fire is growing at an accelerated rate.
The elk fire, as of Tuesday, was estimated at just a hair under, so right at about 92,000 acres. And the Pack Trail fire now is over 86,000. So each of them are both kind of closing in on 100,000. It's not a goal. It's not a milestone that firefighters are looking forward to. There's supposed to be some snow coming, some rain, some much colder temperatures. But until that happens, the weather is still hotter than normal, drier than normal. The wind is picking up, and it's still as volatile as ever for them up there.
A 7-mile ribbon of black charred ground now stands between the elk fire and Bighorn Mountain communities to the east. Cowboy State Daily's Renee Jean reports that the fire line stretches from Goose Creek all the way down to the Red Grade Road, where the Rocky Mountain Area Complex Incident Management Team is building a catcher's mitt for a fireball.
Basically, you have this great big gigantic fireball coming down south. There are lots of little rivers that cut across the mountains. Any one of those is a funnel for fire to get pushed through in another direction if the wind kicks back up. So what they've done is they've built a big, huge buffer zone all the way down to Red Grade Road. That's 1/2 of the catcher's mitt, if you will. They're taking out trees that used to line the road. They're widening the road. They're cutting dozer lines. They're laying down retardant.
With the black line now stretching all the way to Red Grade Road, firefighters are ready for any breakout attempts the wind might push. Well, if there's a billboard one might not expect to see in very Republican Wyoming, it would be one endorsing a Democratic candidate for president. That's what a billboard along Highway 20 just outside Thermopolis does, displaying a huge blue field promoting Vice President Kamala Harris for president. But Cowboy State Daily's Leo Wolfson reports that county Republicans expect the billboard to backfire and actually help Trump's campaign.
The state of Wyoming voted for former President Donald Trump with a larger margin than any other state during his 2020 and 2016 campaigns. I spoke to Kim Bartlett, who's the chairman of the Hot Springs County Democratic Party that organized the billboard, and she said it's simply about a group of people, Democrats, expressing their viewpoints in Wyoming. Cheryl Aguiar, who's the chairman of the Hot Springs County Republican Party, pointed out that she got a huge surge of requests for Trump yard signs after the billboard went up.
Although Wyoming has a few swing and blue-leaning counties, Hot Springs is not one of them. Trump won Hot Springs County in the 2020 election by a margin of 59 percentage points. And now let's take a look at today's weather with Cowboy State Daily meteorologist Don Day.
Today's the last day of unseasonably warm, dry weather across Wyoming before big changes finally arrive late tonight, but especially tomorrow and into Friday. Thursday and Friday are the 2 days where things are going to really get busy weather-wise across the state. For today, there'll be some windy areas, especially along I-80 and I-25, but most areas will remain warm and dry. A few showers, though, in far west and southwest Wyoming may develop late in the day. By Thursday, rain and snow will be moving into the western counties of Wyoming, places like Jackson, Star Valley, Alpine, Evanston, up into Yellowstone Park. And then rain and snow, with snow in the mountains, rain and snow on the plains will overspread the central, north central, west, and southwest areas of Wyoming. On Friday, areas of rain and snow and much colder temperatures will pour over onto the other side of the divide across eastern Wyoming. Want to give a heads up to hunters headed into the high country, or if you're in the high country now, a change to winter conditions Thursday night, and Friday likely, with unsettled weather remaining into Saturday.
You can get Don's full forecast on the Cowboy State Daily website. I'll be back in just 20 seconds with more news.
When we say community is the heart of Hilltop, we're talking about a team of bankers committed to improving the place we call home. A team that shows up every day to help businesses thrive and gives back to our neighbors through time, attention, and service. We're inspired by the way our bankers give back because that's one of the many qualities that makes us truly a community bank. Hilltop Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
After construction workers found human remains on private property south of Cheyenne on Monday morning, about 50 investigators are now searching for the rest of the body. The Laramie County Sheriff's Office Chief Deputy told Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland that the searchers are performing a grid search, scouring small spatial squares thoroughly before moving on to the next square.
They haven't told me a ton. They won't say which parts they have found because sometimes there are markers on the skull where you can tell if it's male or female. But what they've said so far is they sent out 50 people like Laramie County sheriffs, coroners, DCI to do a grid search. This square, then this square, very systematic so that they're not missing anything to gather as much of these remains as they can.
Searchers are expected to conclude their effort within the next 48 hours. Natrona County School District's Board of Trustees Chairman Kevin Christopherson is apologizing for a social media post he made that characterized the local Moms for Liberty group as Moms for Tyranny. Cowboy State Daily's Dale Killingbeck reports that the post, made earlier this month, endorsed 4 people for whom Christopherson supported in the upcoming school board election and called on voters to reject 4 others, including members of the Moms for Liberty Natrona County chapter.
Some people obviously knew about the post, but it did come to a head, and he apologized for that social media post. And one of the board members mentioned that, she wanted to take care of things in-house because one resident spoke that she sent an email to the board that did have the post, and she got a reply from one of the chairperson's friends and not from anybody on the board. So she was upset because he apparently shared her private email with a friend.
Christopherson initially apologized to the 2 trustees he criticized in his post. He also said the post came from a place of being passionate when it comes to kids and compared himself to former President Donald Trump. Well, 3 months ago, Damian McCartney traded his New Orleans chef hat in for one from the Wagon Box restaurant in Story. But on Tuesday, he found out he'll be looking for a new job. The Wagon Box Inn, Restaurant, and Cabins unexpectedly announced that it's closing for the winter season this year. Cowboy State Daily's Renee Jean reports that not only does the sudden closure impact employees like McCartney, but the locals as well.
Story residents really rely on this as a place to go out. It's one of the only places around to eat. You have to go into Sheridan. So many other places are not open. And it was unexpected. The employees here told me they didn't see it coming. They thought they were set for the best winter ever.
The Wagon Box is a historic fixture of the Story community with a restaurant, RV park, and campground. The owner said he absolutely intends to open again in the spring. And one of the most baffling supernatural phenomena ever reported in Wyoming took place in March of 1959. A raging blizzard across a Wyoming highway sent 3 people desperate for shelter into the small town of Chugwater. But Cowboy State Daily's Jackie Dorothy reports that when they finally found a place out of the storm, they had no idea they were stepping into a different dimension.
This couple and this airman showed up at this restaurant, ate a meal, paid their bill, and left. That's the whole story. And then you find out he goes back and it's not there. What is the story? What happened? Where is this restaurant? Then I dug into historical context and actually found a newspaper account that went right with their story and matched the details. So it leaves you wondering what really happened.
This story of accidental time travel is shrouded in mystery. The people involved didn't want their identities revealed, and those who would know the true story are now gone. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by hitting the daily newsletter button on cowboystatedaily.com. And you can watch this newscast every day by clicking subscribe on our YouTube channel. And don't forget to drop in on the Cowboy State Daily Morning Show with Jake Nichols, Monday through Friday from 6 to 10 a.m. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Wendy Corr for Cowboy State Daily.